Циркуйте, блядь, по одному! Всем не убиваем! Рассредоточились по посадке!
Ukrainian forces repel Russian push to open new assault axis toward Zaporizhzhia. In the cold gray hours before sunrise, Russian occupation forces once again surged forward in the Zaporizhzhia direction, another desperate attempt to pierce Ukrainian defenses and carve open a new front near the quiet village of Stepove. The fields that once lay silent now echoed with the thunder of artillery and the whine of drones above. According to Vladislav Voloshin, spokesman for Ukraine's Southern Defense Forces, the Russian plan was bold, to widen their offensive reach and strike from a fresh axis, hoping to catch Ukrainian units off balance. But what was meant to be a breakthrough turned swiftly into disaster. Ukrainian defenders, forewarned and entrenched, unleashed a storm of counterfire that shattered the advancing columns before they could gain ground. Within hours, the assault collapsed, another failed gambit in Moscow's fading campaign for the South. In the days leading up to the assault, Ukrainian intelligence had already seen the signs. Satellite imagery and reconnaissance drones revealed an ominous buildup of Russian forces near Zerbianska. Infantry units, light armored vehicles, and supply trucks gathering under the cover of darkness. The occupiers believed they were preparing for a surprise strike, a sudden thrust toward Lukyanovsk, with Stepove marked as their key breakthrough point. Before dawn, the offensive began. Two consecutive assaults surged forward, waves of armored vehicles followed by swift infantry groups advancing through the smoke. But amid the chaos came something unexpected, a mass motorcycle charge. At least 6 bikes, each carrying assault groups, sped toward Ukrainian lines in a reckless bid to close the distance and storm the trenches before defenders could react. It was a desperate gamble, and it failed spectacularly. Ukrainian aerial reconnaissance spotted the movement instantly. Within seconds, precise defensive fire rained down, tearing through the assault groups and leaving the field littered with burning wreckage. What was meant to be a surprise attack became yet another costly disaster for the occupiers. Ukrainian troops not only stopped the enemy from entering Stepove, they annihilated the assault groups entirely, including the motorcyclists and their supporting equipment. As the attack unfolded, the coordination between artillery, drone units, and frontline infantry was seamless. From concealed positions, Ukrainian gunners unleashed precise strikes that ripped through advancing formations, turning open ground into a killing zone. Several Russian vehicles were obliterated before they could even approach the defensive line. The few that made it within range were met by a storm of small arms fire and deadly FPV drone attacks, each strike landing with surgical precision. By the time the smoke cleared, Stepove stood firm. The Russian advance had not just failed, it had been erased. By mid-morning, silence had returned to the fields near Stepove, broken only by the crackle of fire from burnt-out motorcycles and shattered equipment strewn across the battlefield. Both Russian assault waves had been repelled completely. Ukrainian positions stood unbroken, every trench and post still under firm control. The failed offensive once again revealed the deepening desperation within Russia's ranks in the Zaporizhzhia direction. Analysts say the use of mass motorcycle attacks, a tactic now appearing on multiple fronts, exposes a grim reality. The occupiers are running out of armored vehicles and resorting to sending unprotected troops into near-suicidal missions. What was meant to be a swift breakthrough ended instead as another brutal reminder: Ukraine's defenses are holding, and Russia's desperation is growing. Despite mounting losses and a string of failed offensives, Russian forces continue to press forward, probing Ukrainian lines, searching for cracks, desperate to divert defenders and expose any weakness. Each new push is smaller, more frantic than the last, a reflection of dwindling strength rather than renewed resolve. But near Stepove, the Ukrainian response was immediate and unforgiving. Artillery, drones, and infantry acted as one, striking hard and fast, leaving no room for recovery. Within moments, the assault was broken, the fields once again littered with smoldering wreckage. The situation remains firmly under Ukrainian control. Every attempt to test their defenses ends the same way, with Russian armor burning in the mud, and their soldiers cut down before they can even reach the line.
Что? Она выглянула за перегородку, говорит, там пидор.
The battle for Stepove is just one chapter in the broader struggle unfolding across Ukraine's southern front. Here, the Russian army is fighting not for victory, but for momentum, desperate to reclaim the initiative lost after a wave of Ukrainian counterstrikes that crippled supply lines, shattered ammunition depots, and exposed the cracks in their logistics network. Zaporizhzhia remains one of the war's most volatile flashpoints, a region where every village, every ridgeline carries strategic weight. Russian forces continue their attempts to stretch Ukrainian reserves thin, creating pressure points in hopes of forcing a breakthrough. But Stepove stands firm. Its defenders, battle-hardened and relentless, hold the line with the same precision and discipline that have come to define Ukraine's southern campaign. Against endless waves of assaults, their message remains clear. This ground will not be given.
Що там сіш?
At the same time, Ukrainian defenders from the 110th Separate Mechanized Brigade struck a decisive blow against a Russian sabotage and reconnaissance group near the village of Verbove in the Zaporizhzhia region. Under the cover of darkness, the infiltrators slipped into the settlement not to fight, but to film. According to the brigade's report, the Russian unit's mission was not military, but theatrical, to stage a propaganda video showing their troops raising the flag in Verbove, a fabricated scene meant for Russian state media. Cameras were ready, the flag was prepared, but before they could press record, Ukrainian defenders detected their presence. Moments later, gunfire and explosions shattered the quiet streets. The saboteurs' plan and their performance ended before it could begin. However, the deception unraveled almost instantly. Ukrainian surveillance picked up the infiltrators' movements, and within minutes, the 110th Brigade moved in. What followed was a brief but fierce exchange, a precise, coordinated strike that left the Russian sabotage group wiped out before they could stage or broadcast their fabricated victory. When the smoke cleared, Ukrainian troops swept through Verbove, confirming what the brigade would later make official. The village remained fully under Ukrainian control. Verbove is and remains under the control of the Defense Forces of Ukraine, the brigade announced, putting to rest the false reports of a Russian breakthrough and turning yet another propaganda stunt into a costly failure. The brigade also addressed a wave of disinformation that had begun circulating online. False claims spread through several platforms, including Deep State, which Russian information operatives had weaponized to stir panic and doubt among Ukrainian audiences. In their statement, the 110th Brigade urged calm and vigilance. We call on citizens not to trust unverified sources or enemy narratives, rely only on official reports from the defense forces. It was a reminder that in this war, the battle isn't fought only on the front lines, but also in the digital shadows, where truth itself has become a weapon. The failed Russian operation once again exposed Moscow's persistent strategy, blending information warfare with small-scale provocations along the front. Each staged assault, each fabricated success, is designed not for the battlefield, but for the screen, to erode Ukrainian morale and inflate Russia's image of strength. Yet on the ground, those illusions collapse quickly. Ukrainian defense forces maintain full control of the area. In the Verbove-Robotyne sector, fierce fighting continues, but every Russian push ends the same way, with their assaults shattered and their losses mounting. Amid smoke, fire, and disinformation, one truth remains constant: Ukraine still holds the line.